The weather. It gives us life, and it takes it away.
The tornado has touched down.
You can't do anything.
It is a thing of staggering beauty and a destructive force, killing thousands every year.
The windows all blew out.
The whole thing's gone.
It was the end.
It is gone. The building is gone.
And our warmer atmosphere is extra energy for our weather to unleash upon us.
Oh my God!
We meet the people who came face to face with Mother Nature and filmed it.
I've been fighting it for an hour.
I'm gonna sick to my stomach.
Holy! I just lost my house.
We hear firsthand how these people survived.
Oh my God! Get in the house!
He's alive. He's alive.
It's pretty much the end of humanity.
I was really convinced I would die.
Using their incredible self-shot footage, we stare straight into the eye of the storm. And witness up close the sheer force of nature.
Oh my God! Look at that!
Everybody take cover! Now!
Coming up in this episode,
It's on the ground! It's on the ground!
a deadly tornado flattens an entire Illinois town.
There's power cables everywhere, houses are down.
In South Wales, a fisherman is swept off a pier into icy winter waters.
We weren't actually sure whether he was dead or alive.
And we reveal the locations of the world's deadliest weather. 9th of April 2015 in northern Illinois, America. Meteorology students Luke Odell and Craig Oswald were tracking a supercell storm, hoping to see their very first tornado.
This thing's amazing, this is unbelievable.
I'm heading north on the 39, and as it crosses the road, the awesome power of that storm became apparent.
Yeah, it's on the ground! It's on the ground!
I see
It's
it,
on the
dude.
ground! Get through! Get through! Get through! It's on the ground!
Oh my God!
Good.
The storm was now a tornado, growing before their eyes into a giant EF4, capable of flattening houses and destroying concrete buildings.
From our perspective, we've been studying these storms for a number of years, and to see that finally, you're in awe, then it's just like, wow.
2 miles ahead in the town of Fairdale, 86-year-old Clem Schultz was upstairs at home as the 200-mile-per-hour twister barreled towards him.
My wife called me to the kitchen. She said, "Look out the window." When I saw that tornado and I started to video it, and all this time while I'm videoing, I was totally convinced that it was going to miss me by several miles until things started getting a little bit nastier.
Heading towards Fairdale, Luke and Craig were still mesmerized by this spectacle, unaware of just how destructive it was becoming.
Oh! Oh my God! Oh!
Really strong winds, anywhere between 250 and 300 mile an hour.
Oh!
Definitely scary. Your heart was racing, that's for sure.
Oh no! Oh no!
We were probably a couple football fields behind the tornado as it actually went across the road.
Oh my God!
Oh my.
Yes! Keep going!
Then kind of continued off to the northeast, unfortunately toward the town of Fairdale.
Oh God!
The deadly twister was now just 330 feet from Clem's house.
I saw my dog going through the backyard. And about that time, the floor started moving under my feet. And I said, "No, that thing ain't gonna miss me now. I might get hurt, might get killed.
It was too late. Clem and his wife now had nowhere to run.
Clem, are you dead now, or are you alive? This is actually what I was thinking.
Shit, you checked it out right.
Minutes later, Luke and Craig arrived in Fairdale, where they met an apocalyptic scene.
Check if everyone's okay. Shit. This is EF4 damage.
Just destruction everywhere.
Let's go around this way.
Are they okay? Hey!
We don't know.
I don't know. We knocked on the door.
Is everyone okay in there? Oh my god. Dude. Jesus. Oh my god. Oh my god. There's power cables everywhere. Houses are down. Are these guys okay?
Every single home in this tiny town of 150 people was damaged or destroyed.
The only way that I can parallel the feeling.
Oh my god.
I lived in New York at the time of September 11th, and that kind of panicked silence and the level of destruction is really difficult to comprehend. This is what a tornado of that magnitude can do to a town. In 20 to 30 seconds, they can take the town and make it dust. And that was terrifying.
Incredibly, amongst the destruction, a neighbor spots Clem.
They got fire rescue on the way, okay? Why don't you come this way?
Clem's head was hit, and his entire house was flattened, but he was struggling with a much deeper loss.
There was a first responder there. He brought me over to the edge, and he said, "Don't look down." And I said, "Why don't look down?" And he said, "Because your wife is directly underneath you, and she's dead." Obviously, I did look down. I saw her head and one shoulder, an arm, laying out from underneath the beam. I took her by the wrist. There was no pulse. And I said, "Clem, there's nothing that can be done for her. You've got to get yourself out of here, because that noise you hear in the background now is propane tanks all over the town."
The whole town had to be evacuated immediately.
I think I smell gas.
There's lots of propane everywhere. People need to get out of here. It could ignite any second. You need to leave now. Is there people in here? No, get out. There's propane leaking. You guys have to leave. Yes. You have to get out now. Leave. Do not smoke. Don't smoke propane. Put it out.
The following day, another Fairdale resident was found dead, but emergency services had sealed the leaking gas, so the people of Fairdale could return home.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my goodness, gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, jeez, Louise. Mom's room. Mom's room.
Clem and his son picked through the remains of his house.
Just be careful, Dad.
Although nothing could replace the loss of his wife, there was to be an unexpected ray of light for Clem in the form of his dog, Missy, who was unbelievably found alive and well.
So they brought her back to me, and of course we had our reunion. Kisses and loves and hugs. We were both pretty happy.
A kind stranger also found this picture lying in a field. 35 miles from Clem's house.
The photo means a lot to me. She kind of meant a lot to me too. This flew out of my house through the window that I was looking out. This was one of the last things I saw before the tornado.
The photo is now with him in his new home, close to his children and grandchildren. Deadly weather can occur anywhere across the globe, but some places are in Mother Nature's crosshairs more often than anywhere else. Every year from April to July, the Midwest of America becomes known as Tornado Alley, as more deadly twisters form here than anywhere else in the world. This one in Washington, Illinois, is just one of 70 tornadoes hitting the Midwest in a single day in November 2013.
It's coming toward us. I'm going with my baby.
Go with the babies. Go. Leave that door so I can get in.
Some tornadoes travel at over 70 miles per hour, and this homeowner discovers just how quick they can be on top of you.
Oh my God!
As cold, dry air from the north meets warm, wet air from the south, the result is up to 1,000 devastating tornadoes every year. These travelers in St. Louis, Missouri, are inside a steel-built airport terminal, but it offers limited protection from their destructive force. The 150-mile-per-hour tornado blows out half of the main terminal's windows and causes structural damage, costing millions. But luckily, no one is hurt. India is the monsoon capital of the world. From July every year, scorching weather over land is pushed out by moisture-laden air from the sea. This triggers biblical rainstorms. In 2015, farmlands and cities were submerged across southern India, underwater. The worst-hit city was Chennai, where lakes overflowed, turning roads into rivers. This motorcyclist is dangerously close to losing his life. Without a human chain of bystanders, he could have become another statistic in the 2015 monsoon floods. They would claim 431 lives across the region. When it comes to deadly hurricanes, the place to avoid is Southeast Asia. They form over warm tropical oceans, so Asia's Pacific coastlines are battered every year by at least 20 of these monsters. And they reach 1,250 miles wide. The most devastating in recent history was Hurricane Haiyan, which hit the Philippines in 2013. It killed over 6,000 people and caused $2.9 billion worth of damage across the region.
Oh my God!
So, after witnessing the world's deadliest locations, you might want to stop and think before you next complain about the weather. Porthcawl in South Wales faces 3,000 miles of open Atlantic Ocean. The huge waves are notorious. In December 2015, a fisherman was swept off the harbour wall by a monster 40-foot wave. Volunteers Ross Purchase and Simon Ems from the Royal National Lifeboat Institution got the call.
When we launched, we didn't know whether he had hit himself on the pier. It must have been a 30-foot drop that day, and the pier angles outwards and covered in barnacles, so we didn't know whether he'd hit his head, injured any of the limbs on his body, so we were totally unsure of what we were going to find.
Life expectancy in the near-freezing sea is about 15 minutes, but by the time the rescue team hit the water, the fishermen had been there for 10 minutes.
For a person in the water with the sea temperatures that we have, made the chances of survival quickly diminish.
Hampered by poor visibility and rough currents, the crew spotted him a quarter-mile from the harbour wall. He'd been in the water for 15 minutes.
But on spotting the fisherman and the condition he seemed to be in, we weren't actually sure whether he was dead or alive.
Put my knee into his back just to sort of lift him up a bit, and he just let out this gasp. You kind of feel relieved, but at the same time, we've got a long way to go.
41-year-old Mike Dooley was only just breathing, and when the volunteers checked his responses, they discovered that he could barely talk. As the core body temperature drops, hypothermia leads to apathy and confusion. They have to warm him up, as the next stage is loss of consciousness and falling into a coma.
I could hear a lot of commotion behind me. I'm just maintaining that boat's position into the conditions to try and keep the guys safe, just to avoid a capsize.
With 3 crew on one side of the boat, trying to pull Mike out, the notorious Porthcawl swell could send them all into the water.
He seemed to have a lot of layers on that day, and the crew said he was very heavy.
In all his wet clothes, Mike would have weighed 19 stone, as heavy as a baby elephant. As the minutes ticked by, he was becoming less and less responsive, and the crew were getting more and more tired. The exhausted crew braced themselves for a last-ditched heave.
Once we had the fisherman on board, Simon was brought back into the boat before we could actually start making headway back to the station.
Incredibly, the moment Mike was out of the cold water, he became a little more alert.
There's relief when you can actually see the casualty starting to make movement, signs that he's hopefully going to be okay.
But during the 5-minute ride back, he started losing consciousness again. The danger of his brain shutting down altogether was now very real.
Once we got back on shore into the boathouse, we got the casualty onto some oxygen. He was cut quite badly as well.
Mike's core temperature was so low that his vital organs were beginning to slow down.
I think he was quite fortunate that the ambulance crew arrived very quickly.
Paramedics were on the scene minutes after Mike came ashore, and thankfully they were able to keep him stable.
I think if the RNA wasn't here that day, it'd be a different story.
Mike went on to make a full recovery, but it's unknown whether he has been fishing again since.
4 boys went out, 5 boys came back, and that's always a good outcome.
If the elements catch you out, a rescue could be the difference between life and death.
No water! 1 meter! Behind!
Christmas Day in Wyoming, and it's time for the festive tradition of taking the sleds out to the frozen Jackson Lake.
Look at that big crack. Is that a big crack next to him right here? Yeah.
But this scene of holiday fun is about to turn into a death trap.
That's seriously not even funny.
No, it's not.
As the ice finally gives way, fellow sledders rush to help the stricken child.
It's too.
But 2 bungled rescue attempts mean 3 people are now in the freezing water.
Give me the rope from under the seat.
Under the seat. Now.
And as the ice continues to weaken, a 4th plunges in. Further desperate attempts fail miserably. It's now a race against time to stop Christmas becoming a multiple tragedy. The gravest concern is the child in the red hat. He's been in the water longest, and with less body mass than the adults, he could lose consciousness within minutes. An unlikely rescuer proves to be the man struggling alongside him, but time is running out.
It has to be cold to where you don't want to move.
Heroically keeping the boy afloat, he too is fading fast. It's now down to the bystanders on the shore to save 2 lives.
Hey!
Sorry, they need to take his clothes off.
Yeah, they're putting blankets on them. Yeah.
People take off their own dry clothes to quickly warm up the 2 victims, and a Christmas Day disaster is narrowly averted. But every day an average of 10 Americans drown, even on Christmas Day. An innocuous drizzle of rain can lead to a life or death situation. This hiker on a 9,000-foot mountain in Peru is unaware that rain has loosened the stone path beneath him. Hidden just beyond the undergrowth is a sheer drop thousands of feet high. Mercifully, the undergrowth stops him falling to an almost certain death. But with just a few plants supporting him, the danger is far from over.
That's it. Well done. Well done.
Without every single one of his fellow hikers, this adventurer could have been a goner.
It's a good experience.
It's not just humans that need rescuing when dangerous weather hits. On the frozen Mississippi River, unorthodox methods are needed to help our furry friends. Using the wind from the helicopter's blades, a quick-thinking pilot pushes this Bambi to safety.
Wow, that was awesome.
But in truly desperate situations, there's nothing anyone can do. And during this devastating mudslide in Chañaral, Chile, it was down to the victim to rescue itself. Most avalanches are caused by off-piste skiers disturbing fresh snow. But there is just as much danger riding a 200-kilo-plus snowmobile. And on a steep slope like this, the odds are stacked against him getting away scot-free.
Oh no!
Risking their own safety, his mates race to the rescue. Stopped in their tracks, it's an anxious wait for the avalanche to stop.
Where is he?
They can only hope he isn't buried too deeply to find. Without his friends, he might not have lived to tell the tale of when he took on an avalanche and lost. He could probably do with a warm hat, though. Coming up, a freak storm in Belgium. Sending 60,000 music festival revelers fleeing for their lives. A sinkhole threatens to swallow an entire street in Baltimore.
Oh my God!
And we meet the bad weather junkies who risk life and limb for Mother Nature's kicks. Pukkelpop Festival 2011, near the town of Genk in Belgium. 60,000 music lovers flocked here to dance in the sun. The area had been enjoying a heat wave, but on the first evening the sky turned pitch black and unleashed an epic storm. "41-year-old Bert is a veteran raver and is well used to a bit of bad weather.
We were laughing like, oh, those kids don't know how to do festivals, and us grown-ups, we can take a bit of rain."
But as hundreds streamed into the tent for shelter, Bert found himself pushed to its edge and under an enormous TV screen swinging in the gales.
Literally, it's a really big thing. It's like half the side of a house that's hanging that's hanging on top of you. You could feel the tension in the crowd, and that's when it became really, really scary.
Jeff was in a small trailer beside the huge chateau tent. He'd seen hundreds escaping the storm by fleeing inside it.
It was a huge tent, very heavy. The wind was playing it like balloons. We sure were very afraid at that point and panicking as well, because we didn't know what to expect next, what was going to happen.
Inside the dance tent, Louis was lost in the music of Wiz Khalifa.
You had a few drinks and you're partying, you sort of feel invincible. You have these people screaming outside, but you don't expect that something would happen to you. You just expect that you're safe at a place like that, and then eventually you're not.
But 70-mile-per-hour winds threatened to bring the whole thing down. All over the festival, this tent city was pushed to breaking point. And this was no longer just a wet festival story. The wind and rain intensified, and the giant TV screen above Bert began groaning under the strain. After almost being crushed, Bert dashed to the middle of the field, away from falling structures.
We went through the cables, we went through the metal girders. As soon as one of those large cables come loose, that's just a death trap.
In the dance tent, MC Khalifa ran from the stage, and the DJ told everyone they must leave.
Please exit the tent.
It was just a big panic mass situation, you know. Everyone was screaming and because they were afraid of the tent collapsing on them. I started panicking as well. It was definitely chaos.
As the crowds rushed outside, they were stopped in their tracks by cherry-sized hail. But for the 4,000-plus people inside, it was increasingly dangerous to stay under the creaking tent.
The thing I was the most afraid of was, of course, just the whole tent that it would collapse on me or on all my friends and everyone in there.
In the chateau tent, thousands of revelers were sheltering in a death trap.
At that point I thought this is the end of the world, because you see it's a big monster. It's like a big giant coming loose.
Jesus Christ.
People gonna die, people gonna be injured. So at that point I was completely in chaos and panicking.
Terrified people scrambled out of the collapsing tent.
You realize there's a lot of people in the tent, you realize the tent is very heavy, you realize there's a lot of metal in the tent, very heavy. We couldn't believe that it just happened.
In the carnage, Jeff was unaware that there were people trapped under tons of mangled rigging. Everything across the site was being torn apart. Those who managed to escape fled to their campsites through flying debris. The dance tent barely held out. Louis and the crowds trapped inside could have met the same fate as those in the chateau tent. Hundreds rode out the storm, huddled in open spaces.
You could feel stuff getting blown into you, like papers and cups and little twigs and cardboard boxes and everything. You're just hoping like nothing really big or nothing heavy hits you.
"40 minutes after it started, the storm passed.
A few moments before there was a joy, there was sun, there was music, and then a few moments later it's like you go to a funeral or something.
You get back to, reality, where everything is just gone.
A cold weather front, 3 miles up in the atmosphere above Belgium, created this thunderstorm, which killed 5 people, 2 of which were inside the chateau tent.
We heard afterwards that there was a young guy. He went back in, he forgot his backpack, and he went back inside for his backpack, and then at that point a truss came down and fell on his head and he died there.
"140 people were injured across the site, 10 seriously. After 25 years without incident, Pukkelpop now resembled a war zone, and the festival was over after the first night. But Pukkelpop returned the following year, and every year since.
For an event like this, unless you build concrete shelters, you can't protect yourself from this. You just can't mitigate against something like this. No, just don't have the festival then, which is a lot worse.
Sinkholes can strike anywhere and at any time. But why do they occur? Sinkholes happen when decades or even centuries of underground water erosion produce cavities, making everything above them dangerously unstable. Then one heavy storm is all it takes for the earth to disappear before your eyes. This building in India had been a family's home, but luckily they felt the earth move below them before it was too late. In Bayou Corn, Louisiana, this enormous sinkhole appeared 4 years ago when an ancient natural cavern collapsed. Since then, it periodically engulfs everything above it. It now covers a staggering 90 acres and is 750 feet deep, but it's still growing. And 300 residents nearby have abandoned their homes as this monster sinkhole threatens to swallow entire settlements. Sinkholes often occur in colder climes, like Ontario, Canada.
Hey!
Rainwater seeps into underground cracks and freezes. After melting, the water can wash away the earth and collapse the ground above it. With the train line completely destroyed and a gaping hole in the earth, this person has a lucky escape. This driver is rushing to help campers in Inskip Point, Australia. A sinkhole has devoured tents, cars, and even mobile homes. Now the earth all around it is dangerously unstable. The driver parks up with a gaping chasm just inches to his left. The ground continues to crumble away under his car, leaving it overhanging the sinkhole.
You drive, mate.
But with help from the campers, he makes a lucky escape. It's only when day breaks that we see how enormous the sinkhole is. Swallowing over 650 feet of beachfront, it is a miracle that no one is killed or injured.
Look at this shit. That's crazy.
We've witnessed the awesome power of sinkholes, and if one gobbles you up, it will take more than revving your engine to get you out. Baltimore, Maryland, on America's East Coast, was deluged by one of the wettest springs in 75 years.
Wow!
On the 30th of April 2014, 4 inches of rain fell, overwhelming the rivers and storm drains and drowning the city. But the rains were about to trigger a weird and potentially deadly weather phenomenon. In the low-lying neighborhood of Charles Village, Nick Reyes is among shocked residents watching their street literally crack under the pressure of the flood.
And I noticed the cars were starting to lean in towards the side of the street where the opening was, and the first thing I could do was take a picture of it and texted my girlfriend at the time and told her that my street was going to fall off.
Rain had seeped through cracks in the road and eroded the foundations of the entire street. Nick's car was one of 12 teetering on the edge, 20 feet above a busy train line.
I actually asked one of the police officers if I could go move my car because it was still up there, and he just told me that I couldn't. I had to stand there and pretty much just watch it go.
My car's about to go.
Your car's... Oh my God!
Nick's car was gone, but it was not over yet. The earth was severely weakened, and Nick himself was now in danger.
Oh my God!
It's one of the loudest things I've ever heard in my entire life.
Oh my God!
The moment that I felt the most worry was after it all happened, and I didn't know how far it was going to go. You know, it could have taken the whole street, could have taken everything.
The floodwaters had washed away the earth beneath the street, burrowing out an enormous cavity, until the road came crashing down on the train lines below. All 12 cars, including Nick's, were destroyed. Half the street was literally gone, but amazingly nobody was hurt. Nick and his neighbors were evacuated for a month, while their houses were shored up and the street rebuilt. Finally back home, Nick reflects on seeing the first tiny signs of disaster just days earlier.
There was a crack in the street that I actually was always making jokes about, telling everyone that one day the street was gonna fall off, and nobody ever thought I'd be right.
When the weather takes a turn for the worse, most people head indoors and hunker down. But bad weather junkies like this guy dive in head first. Heading the list are these youngsters, who only need a few inches of rain to break out the bodyboards. And it's not just the streets, even the storm drains will do. But maybe stick to the beach next time. If the traffic doesn't get you, the sewage and the floodwater probably will. At number 6, this cool customer from Norway shows us how to get around when ice makes walking downhill impossible. Very smooth. In at 5, these thrill-seekers embrace the full force of this storm on Chile's wave-battered Black Island.
Whoa, wait a minute. Hey. Whoa. Oh. Se fueron.
With the 2 men out of sight, a panicked search ensues. Thankfully, they are found with only cuts and bruises, and no doubt with a healthier respect for the power of the sea. Number 4, and after feet of snow in St. Petersburg, Russia, these residents don't see streets, but a ready-made urban ski resort. And even when the fuel runs out, an old-fashioned mode of transport is found to keep them slaloming. But with Russia's roads rated among the world's deadliest, street skiing here isn't the best idea for fun. 3rd place goes to these daredevils, who spot a cluster of water spouts off the Florida coast and decide to hit the water and head straight for them.
How many people see water spouts and tornadoes from this perspective?
Effectively tornadoes on water, these water spouts are capable of destroying anything in their path. Despite being in a tiny boat, they weave between the waterborne twisters to get their kicks. And manage to stay in one piece. For sheer determination to get his chores done, this hardy Oklahoma resident gets 2nd spot. Even a wild storm in Tornado Alley won't stop him getting his lawn mowed.
Only in Oklahoma.
But top spot in the bad weather junkies countdown goes to these surfers who take on Hurricane Sandy and win. In this episode, we've seen Mother Nature in all her fury. We've seen how helpless we can be. We've seen her tear down, destroy, and laugh in our faces. And next time, there will be more, because deadly weather stops for no one. The weather, it gives us life and it takes it away.
The tornado has touched down.
You can't do anything.
It is a thing of staggering beauty and a destructive force, killing thousands every year.
The windows all blew out.
The whole thing's gone.
Holy crap.
It was the end.
It is gone. The building is gone.
And our warmer atmosphere is extra energy for our weather to unleash upon us.
Oh my God!
We meet the people who came face to face with Mother Nature and filmed it.
I've been fighting it for an hour.
I'm gonna sick to my stomach.
Holy!
I just lost my house.
We hear firsthand how these people survived.
Oh my God! Get in the house!
He's alive. He's alive.
It's pretty much the end of humanity.
I was really convinced I would die.
Using their incredible self-shot footage, we stare straight into the eye of the storm. And witness up close the sheer force of nature.
Oh my God, look at that!
Everybody take cover now!
Coming up in this episode, the strongest hurricane to ever hit the Western Hemisphere crashes into Mexico.
Watch out, John!
A tornado tosses trucks in Texas.
It just took those 18-wheelers and tossed them around like it was dominoes.
A biblical plague visits Madagascar. We witness how the weather can cause the world's most painful animal attacks. And in catastrophic floods in Louisiana, a woman is rescued from her sinking tomb. October 23rd, 2015. On the Pacific coast of Mexico, the tourist town of Manzanillo was on full alert for Hurricane Patricia, a Category 5, the highest rating there is. And this water spout caused by a mini tornado was a sign that the storm was just a few hours away. A 100 miles off the coast, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration monitored this extremely worrying hurricane by flying a plane straight into it.
I grew up as a pilot, and one of the things you learn early on is that you try to avoid the weather. So this occupation goes against every fiber of a pilot's being.
The storm had already flooded large areas of Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua.
So the same storm we had flown in the 2 days prior had sort of grown up on us.
The hurricane had been a rapidly intensifying Category 5, but to see how bad it was now, they had to fly into the worst part, through the eye wall.
The amount of rain, the amount of wind, noise was greater than I had experienced on a storm flight before. Actually reached the threshold of the aircraft limits.
Your adrenaline is rushing.
The winds were 215 miles per hour, the fastest hurricane winds ever recorded in the Western Hemisphere, and would be catastrophic if it hit a city. Hurricane Patricia was heading straight for Manzanillo, where teenager Roberto and his brother Ramon were excitedly getting ready for impact.
Mi hermano y yo para ver qué, o sea, lo que ocurría o cómo iba ahora sí que transcurriendo el tiempo de lo que caía el huracán. Pues no creo que sea tan feo como en las noticias lo decían.
The government planned to evacuate 50,000 people from the region, but Roberto and his brother decided to stay. 60 miles north, American freelance reporter Josh Morgan is here to cover the hurricane.
Not only is this storm incredibly dangerous, the strongest ever on this side of the earth, maybe the strongest hurricane ever on earth, it's also very small core, very, very wobbly.
By 5 p.m., he's checked into a hotel in the small town of Emiliano Zapata.
People are just looking and waiting.
At this stage, the calm before the storm is a novelty for the young family and 2 staff staying here. But Josh made sure he was staying in the safest part of the hotel.
And here's the hotel where we're riding out this storm. We're actually staying in this room here. This is an interior room. As you can see, there are rooms on either side of it, which makes us feel a little safer.
And at 5:30 p.m., the storm was intensifying.
The pressure's dropping like a rock. We're down to 969 millibars, and we're getting waves of destructive gusts. But aside of me was just scared. I didn't want to die in this thing.
On the NOAA flight, they discovered the storm had swung north, straight towards Josh in Emiliano Zapata. At 6:27 p.m., it hit.
Everything just went nuts.
Watch out, Gus!
Okay, we think the hotel's starting to blow apart here. We heard a tremendous crashing sound, and that was a lot of the roof of the hotel had gotten torn off, and we saw the debris flying everywhere. And then we realized we were in trouble. Come in here.
As the hotel fell apart, 2 terrified staff and a guest fled to Josh's room.
What did he say? He needs to get a 5 minutes. Oh, okay. Oh.
But the guest had left his wife and baby next door.
Get in here, come on! Don't worry, we're gonna be okay. Okay, this family, terrified people are with us, and we're riding out this storm. In a dark room, you can hardly see anything, I know, but we're standing in here, the family in the bathroom, waiting for this storm to pass, and it's scary stuff. It is scary stuff. Okay. Everyone in here. Everyone get in here. Get down. Okay. Everyone get in. And shut the door. You know, we were really concerned because the roof on our part of the building had stayed on, but if it blew off, we were all going to be dead.
60 miles south, teenagers Roberto and Ramon had ventured outside to do some amateur reporting of their own.
Impresionante lo que está pasando aquí en la caseta de Coyotlán, donde estamos refugiados, cuando está en uno de sus momentos más fuertes el huracán.
Then the winds ramped up to around 100 miles per hour.
Ahí fue cuando te digo que ahora sí sentí pues miedo, porque pues dije, no manches, nunca había vivido algo así, no quiero volverlo a vivir.
What they didn't realize was that an ocean surge of water could sweep in at any moment and wash them away. At 7 p.m., Josh and the hotel guests had to improvise a new roof.
Okay, we're gonna get the mattress, we're gonna bring it in the bedroom. In the bathroom, we're gonna barricade the door. So we have the now we're bringing a mattress into the bathroom. Yes, let's put it up. Okay, okay. Yeah, and you can see we made a ceiling of the shower stall with a mattress because we weren't sure if the roof was gonna come off. It did. I think a lot of the roof of the hotel did come off, but not off this room.
Back in Manzanillo, Roberto and Ramon were watching the storm surge rush in over where they'd been standing minutes earlier.
Pues te digo, es que era un departamento, no estaba muy grande, porque pues ese lugar, pues, como era muy alto, y luego imagínate, pegando todo el viento y se llevaba cosas, no queríamos arriesgarnos.
They'd retreated up to their apartment, but 4 floors up, the wind was even faster. It was now too late to evacuate, so they just had to hope their windows held out. By 8 p.m., the storm had passed over, but this was the second most powerful hurricane in the world, and it moved north, causing chaos as far away as Texas before blowing out.
In Revere County, they're pulling the basin out at this time.
The next morning, Josh discovered just what a lucky escape they all had.
This is the room of the family of 4 that joined us during the storm. The roof and ceiling totally blew away. The ceiling fan came smashing down on the bed. Thank God no one was hurt. The roof had stayed over a couple of rooms, and one of those rooms was ours. So we were just lucky that our room didn't totally blow open like the other ones, because people would have been injured or killed.
Down in Manzanillo, Roberto and Ramon had to face Mom and Dad.
Y pues sí, a mí me regañaron horrible y a mi hermano porque no manches, dijeron, ¿cómo chingados graban si no están viendo lo que está pasando?
His whole family had been in an emergency shelter, but his auntie returned to find her house ruined.
Y todos se pusieron muy tristes porque pues ahora sí que perdieron su único lugar donde vivían.
Hurricane Patricia destroyed 10,000 homes and farms, but missed all the major cities nearby. If it hadn't, the casualty count of 8 people would have been a lot higher. But Roberto learned an important lesson.
Que últimamente han pegado más huracanes, pero pues categorías así bajitas. Ahora sí que mejor prefiero estar en mi casa resguardado viendo la tele.
As well as punishing us directly, the weather can inflict plagues of animals upon us, some more harmful than others. In Wuhan, central China, the heaviest rainfall in 60 years floods large areas, affecting 32 million people. Fish from the Yangtze and Han rivers fill the streets. But the water creatures aren't all harmless. Elsewhere, 100 crocodiles escaped from a farm. In the city center of Acapulco in Mexico, the region's crocodiles are also on the loose. The storm surge from Hurricane Manuel sweeps this one into the streets from an overflowing lagoon. It's not clear who is most scared of who, but residents do eventually capture it. What they do with it after, no one is sure. This swimming pool owner filming in Florida has a shock when he goes into his backyard. The alligator was escaping the worst drought in 56 years during the American heat wave of 2016. The pool owner calls in a professional trapper to catch the 8-foot beast. The trapper still has 10 toes, even though he appears to work with no shoes.
Oh my gosh. So yesterday we were down here, and maybe like a third of the beach was covered with these guys. Now, look at this. The whole beach is covered with them. It's a sea of dead little tuna crabs. Oh my gosh.
The tuna crabs in Newport, Southern California, usually live 600 miles south, off the Baja Peninsula in Mexico.
Look at this. These ones happen to be all dead. There's little survivors out there.
However, California's waters are getting warmer and warmer, and their appearance in 2016 is thought to be linked to the El Nino effect. Unfortunately, despite looking like tiny crawfish, they are inedible because they may have fed on toxin-producing plankton. In Oklahoma, a flood has left a bull snake concealed on the pavement. The snake clings to the man's leg, biting him before retreating. The flooding has driven the snake from its natural home. But bull snakes aren't poisonous, and the bitten man later returns the snake to dry grassland, where it normally lives. But perhaps the ultimate weather-induced snake nightmare took place in Thailand in 2016. A 38-year-old Thai man was minding his business on the family throne when a 13-foot python sunk its fangs into his family jewels. He screamed for his wife, and for half an hour the pair thrashed around the tiny toilet, fighting the snake. Seconds before passing out from blood loss, the man had the ingenious idea of strangling the snake with a rope and prizing its fangs apart. Incredibly, no living thing was permanently hurt, and the snake, which had crawled up the sewage system in search of water, was returned to the wild. November 2012, Madagascar. It was the beginning of the wet season, but a biblical plague was descending. Exodus verse 10, "They shall cover the face of the earth, and shall eat every tree which groweth for you out of the field." For school children in the capital city, it was a welcome diversion. But ordinary people like Olivier Gallet were worried. For 80% of families in Madagascar who are farmers, locusts are a disaster. Florentine is a farmer from Sakaraha in the south, and overnight her rice harvest is gone.
Sometimes we manage to eat, but there are times when we go to bed on an empty stomach. My children had to stop going to school because we couldn't afford to pay their fees.
Just one medium swarm eats 100,000 tons or 4 cargo ships of food a day. But 2 months later, Hurricane Haruna flooded half the country. As well as being a disaster in its own right, leaving 14,000 people homeless and 26 dead, it also created the perfect breeding conditions for swarming locusts. Each locust multiplied at a rate of 75 eggs per month over the 6-month rainy season. By March 2013, thousands of swarms literally covered 50% of Madagascar, threatening millions of lives.
The challenge is that at the beginning of the recent plague in Madagascar, we estimated that the food security of 13 million people was at risk. It's just a disaster.
Annie Monar from the UN Food and Agriculture Organization had the job of trying to eradicate 77,000 square miles of locusts. Conventional pesticides would ruin the ecosystem, so they developed a special biopesticide made out of mushrooms that only kills locusts.
We had 3 helicopters, 1 aircraft, and more than 150 people in the field in very remote areas.
Despite a 3-year effort by land and air, the locusts are still not under control, and people like Florentine now depend on food aid to help them survive. All this because of too much rain. We spend most of our lives at the mercy of our weather, but at big outdoor events, fate can be particularly cruel. It's not a nice day for a white wedding in Tennessee, but Ashley and Zach manage to keep smiling until it's time to run. Thanks to fast reactions, Ashley gets floored, but a giant branch misses everyone, and the happy couple are married. This Glastonbury festival begins as a scorcher, but a few hours in on day 2, the rain comes. Lee Parkinson shelters for hours. Rain can sound much worse in a tent, but this is not one of those times.
This is actually getting deeper. That tent there is now almost submerged. They've lost the tent.
The ground has been baked hard by the previous heat wave, giving the water nowhere to drain away. Within hours, the water is over 3 foot in places.
My tent, everything I own is in that tent. Everything you own in that tent. I managed to save some pants.
The notorious Glastonbury toilets overflow.
It's actually sewage now.
But organisers put a brave face on it from the warmth of their Winnebagos, pointing out that under 100 tents have been washed away. It's all right for some. But this is minor compared to what happens at the 2011 Indiana State Fair. "60-mile-per-hour winds have been forecast, and organisers are about to announce an evacuation order, but it is too late. The stage's 2-ton ballast anchors are simply torn off the footing, with tragic results. "58 people were injured and 7 killed in this disaster. At this youth football match in Central America, the spectators haven't spotted the dust devil forming behind them. To the players' credit, the game continues, and the Reds even try to sneak in a cheeky goal. These French tourists have come to the Alps for the rock climbing, but what they've got is a lot of rock moving. A spring melt avalanche becomes a huge landslide. It happens at the most dangerous time of year, April, when the snow over 10,000 foot thaws. In some areas, they take place every 10 minutes. Strangely, none of the climbers realize it could happen on their side of the valley too. These divers are on a luxury holiday in the Maldives, but a strong current meets the sea wall and sends the divers shooting down. The videographer's depth alarm goes off at 130 feet. They don't have the air to go any deeper. Soon, even the air bubbles are sent downwards, so the divers have no chance. Their only hope is to cling on to the sea wall, if they can reach it. Even then, there's not a lot to hold on to, and no obvious way up. One of the divers is swept away from the group. The others swim along the wall until they come out of the current and surface. The lost diver is later found bobbing in the sea, over 330 feet away, but alive. Proving that even in paradise, the weather can have us begging for mercy. Coming up, as Louisiana drowns, catastrophic floods raise corpses from the dead. We use time-lapse and slow motion to see the forces causing our weather. Trucks are tossed around like toys in Texas.
I remember thinking to myself, man, this place could come apart.
And we watch the weather make mincemeat of our homes and buildings.
This thing is not letting up.
Louisiana, USA. On the 8th of August 2016, it began raining, up to 3 inches per hour, and it didn't stop. The storm was not thought major enough to be given a name, but a week later it dumped more rain than Hurricane Katrina. 22 counties across the state were now flooded. In the state capital, Baton Rouge, residents with boats organized themselves into the Cajun Navy, a group of citizen rescue volunteers. 27-year-old David Fung and his brother-in-law Jay Dixon had been alerted to a woman in a red convertible who had been washed away and was sinking in deep waters.
The car was floating. He knew that she was headed for a ditch.
Every second, I was watching it. The car was sinking pretty steady.
They were alerted 5 minutes ago, and they had no idea if it was too late. Up near Greensburg, roads were being washed away, often while trucks were driving on them.
Oh, well, I hope whoever was in that wreck ain't get hurt. I'm not gonna get too close because the road's still cracking up.
But as a local news anchor was preparing his report, he witnessed the power of the flood firsthand.
You think this water isn't strong here? We're only talking about inches across this. We're only talking about inches across this road here on Highway 10. Take a look right down there.
Nobody could reach the truck driver. He was left stranded on his roof for 10 hours.
How that driver's doing.
Back in Baton Rouge, David and Jay reached the convertible and could hear noises coming from inside.
Do you have something?
Yeah.
Get out! Give me a knife, give me a knife.
53-year-old Haley Brule couldn't open the door because of the water pressure, but her car was filling up.
Watch your eyes, breaking the window.
It was only a matter of minutes before she was gonna die or drown in the vehicle.
Go.
Oh my God, I'm drowning.
We're coming. I'm gonna break this window. We're breaking the window. Do you have a knife? You do that. Tell me if you have a knife. I'll find it.
My instincts were something had to be done now. I was just hoping that she wasn't buckled in. Seconds seemed like minutes as the rescue was happening.
Get my dog. Get my dog.
Haley's dog was still in the sunken car.
I'll go down. Hang on.
I can't get the dog. Here. Oh. I can't get the dog. Maybe she's gone.
No, she better not be. I've been having.
I got your dog. Oh! Go swim to the boat.
Earlier, the flood had taken her trailer home, and she'd lost all her worldly possessions, apart from her pooch.
You're the best thing I ever seen. I didn't know what the fuck I went through.
Glad you made it.
Over 100,000 homes were now damaged or underwater, and the state governor declared a state of emergency. The National Guard was called in to help people stranded in their homes. Some houses were under 6 feet of water, too deep even for the trucks.
About 30 people in the aircraft.
30,000 people had to evacuate. Schools and gymnasiums became makeshift homes, but most shelters did not allow pets and animals. so owners were left with nowhere to take them. Darrell Watson and Mike Anderson run a rescue home for dogs and were patrolling the waters for the thousands of animals left behind.
Everything was kind of winding down, and I told Darrell, let's just go make one more round through everything.
Alerted by the barking, they found a survivor, stranded for up to 3 days. It was a pit bull puppy balancing on a fence.
I guess that's probably more distressing, I guess, to me than seeing humans sometimes, because an animal basically needs a human.
Oh, he's up on that fence, huh? Yeah.
The puppy was just 3 months old.
What about it, man? Huh? What about it, buddy? Huh? You happy to be in there?
But there was still more barking down the street. Up in Greensburg, there had been grisly reports of washed-up coffins floating down the street. And as the water subsides, Lachelle Barker heads down to the cemetery.
Oh, I just don't want to see nobody bad. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Somebody's grave is sitting up, head up. They got graves all the way over there in the bushes, y'all. Oh, my God.
Coffins are filled with air, so in waterlogged soil or a flood, they float. Most of these came from shallow graves of 3 feet or less. Coroner Zeb Johnson has the job of identifying corpses and returning them to their rightful grave.
You know, people find them in their backyards. They find them in the middle of the fields. They find them floating on the riverbanks or in the rivers.
Oh, Lord. It's bubbling. What that mean when it bubbles?
When you see bubbles around the edge of the grave, water is actually getting into the vault itself. It will cause the casket to actually become a boat, and it will float. We have found those as many as 30 or 40 miles away from their grave spaces. Some of these vaults are so full of water, they weigh almost 5,000 pounds. If you're in a boat trying to recover a 5,000-pound floating concrete block, it is pretty difficult. You have to go through each and every one of them, you know, by hand, very, very slowly and methodically, making sure that you find all of the pieces of bones or whatever remains there are.
Across the state, the flood disinterred 700 coffins. Zeb and other coroners had to sift through them all. Darrell and Mike located the second barking dog.
So.
It was another pit bull puppy.
Where you at, boy? Huh? You ready to get out? Yeah, man's done eat him up and everything, son. Come on, man. Good. There you go. There you go. Huh?
I know the puppy had walked around a little bit when we got him in the boat, but once the second one, the larger dog, when we got him in, he basically just laid right there.
Yeah.
He didn't, they were both definitely worn out.
Oh, I got the whole damn family in here now.
Yep. To say they would have died, I mean, it wouldn't have been a healthy situation for either one of them.
It took 2 weeks for the rain to finally stop. The emotional toll on the coroners and many families was devastating.
None of us were right, you know, afterwards. It affected us psychologically, and it changed our lives dramatically. There were divorces and people that left their jobs and they moved on to different things because mentally and psychologically, it just wore you down.
146,000 houses were left in ruins. The flood hit areas that had never flooded before. And with insurance rates at under 1% in places, some families lost everything.
I know that you cannot take Mother Nature lightly. I mean, she will do what she wants to do.
13 people lost their lives, making this unnamed storm the most deadly to hit the USA since Hurricane Sandy. Giant and relentless atmospheric forces generate our weather. But to really see them in action, you have to watch at the right speed. This is a supercell storm in Kansas, USA, filmed over 1 hour and sped up. They are giant rotating thunderstorms that can be 6 miles high. If the horizontal rolling sides drop down and touch the ground, they will become tornadoes, which happens in about 30% of supercell storms. This storm did produce a tornado, but like most, it was small, remote, and caused no human damage. Air gets cooler the higher up you go, right? Not always. Sometimes cool air can be trapped by a layer of warm air, creating an incredible carpet of cloud, like this one on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. It's called a temperature inversion. The ground level air is kept cool by the cold rock below, and an insulating layer of cloud which holds it in. The air above is warmed by the sun, but as it comes into contact with the cooler air below, it condenses to create more cloud, flowing in this remarkable waterfall effect. The underside of a cloud layer can tell you a lot when sped up. Our winds are not flat and featureless, but roll across our landscapes like waves of water, shaping the clouds above and below them. Clouds shaped like this are called asperities, and are our newest category of cloud, created in 2015 by enthusiasts from the lovably named Cloud Appreciation Society. These are anvil crawler lightning strikes, filmed at 1/4 speed in Wisconsin, USA. It's sometimes called spider lightning because of the way it scampers across the sky. The crawler starts from the ground and shoots up into the underside of a giant flat cloud system called an anvil. The crawler spreads along the underside of the thunderstorm, discharging as it goes. One of the rarest forms of lightning is the superbolt. It's 100 times brighter than usual and is estimated to happen in only 1 in a million strikes. This was filmed at 1/4 speed, and 1 billion joules of energy is released in a fraction of a second, enough to power 60 homes for a day. It gets so hot that the channel of air is turned to steam afterwards. The biggest waves in our oceans are actually tidal, and the biggest tide in the world is the Bay of Fundy in Canada. The estuary funnels in and out up to 55 feet of water twice a day. This video shows just one rise and fall from sunrise to sunset. Boats here spend half their time on the seabed, and the estuary is full of rip currents and whirlpools, proving that when it comes to sheer power, our weather is unrivaled. Dallas, Texas, 2012. Trucker Rich Sandman was on his first day of a new job when something caught his eye out of the window.
Dang, I've never seen one in real life before, man. At first I felt, wow, that is awesome. I've seen a tornado. It's on my bucket list. Not to begin one, but to see one.
Oh, I got my first picture of a tornado. Look at that. You can see the stuff flying from here.
Yeah, you can, man. I remember making a statement. I go, there is no way that thing is gonna make a beeline straight for us.
22 tornadoes were spotted tearing through Dallas in a multi-headed outbreak, generating 150 mile-per-hour winds. This commuter was driving into town when he was stopped in his tracks.
Look at all that stuff that just came up off the ground. Oh, it just destroyed something on the ground. Just absolutely destroying stuff on the ground. Look at that. That is unbelievable.
Pretty close. About a half a mile away, looks like. All kinds of debris up in there.
The debris was bits of homes and buildings. Another driver stepped out of his car to monitor the path of this EF3 twister.
Hopefully it's going to miss the high school.
Southern Dallas was evacuated as tornado after tornado battered the district. Terrified residents, like this mother and daughter, found themselves with no time left to escape.
Get in the house! Come on, it's coming over!
In the nearby Schneider truck terminal, Rich was also caught out, with no storm shelter to hide in.
Somebody from Schneider came in, opened the door, and said, "We have to go downstairs, and we have to go downstairs now. The tornado is here." That tornado is about to hit us direct.
Back way.
There it is.
Wow.
Here we go. Right there. Parking lot. Right there.
Are you good as right here? It's here.
I remember thinking to myself, man, this place could come apart. What am I gonna do? The feeling was pretty strange. I really can't explain it except to somewhere between disbelief and fear.
A third of a mile away, spectators witnessed the moment one of the tornadoes hit the truck yard.
Oh my gosh. Holy.
Drivers from the truck yard filmed 6-ton trucks flying next to the building where Rich was hiding.
It just took those 18-wheelers and tossed them around like it was dominoes. If an 18-wheeler was picked up and tossed around like nothing, if it would have landed on top of the building, I don't know what would stop it before it hit the ground.
All the trucks missed Rich and his new colleagues, and afterwards they saw how lucky they'd been.
The amount of damage, I mean, we're talking an area of 5 football fields, maybe, that was full of 18-wheelers, and it just looked like somebody picked them up like dice and tossed them. A lot of 18-wheelers landed in the road. I probably spent the next 45 seconds trying to pick my jaw up.
The tornado outbreak cost almost $1 billion in damages. Miraculously, there were no fatalities, but Rich had a hell of a first day at work.
And I figured after that, if I can get through day one, the rest has got to be cake.
When the weather turns nasty, we turn to our buildings for shelter, but sometimes they're not a lot of help. This modern hospital in Nebraska is no match for a flash flood. Hundreds of staff and patients have to be evacuated to upper floors, while below them this dining area is washed away completely. And our homes are even more vulnerable. Record rainfall in Boulder, Colorado triggers a landslide and flash flooding. Locals can do nothing to stop torrents of mud and water filling their homes. 9 inches of rain in one day triggers one of the worst floods to ever hit the region, and it destroys hundreds of houses. But this resident is left with his precious piano to play away the pain. Tacoma, Indiana. Brandon Mobley is sheltering in a restaurant from a tornado heading into town. Staff and customers have evacuated. but minutes ago he was working on a roof across the street. The building opposite is made of bricks.
Oh my God, Starbucks just got blown over. There's people in there.
The customers are sheltering at the back, and incredibly, no one is hurt. Tornado winds are so concentrated that Brandon's building is unharmed. The tornado then enters a suburban street, where Mark Sager is filming from his home. As the twister bores down, leaves and branches begin to fly, but he is braced for the worst. Despite his neighbor's chimney coming a cropper, his basketball stand valiantly holds out. But the same cannot be said for the side of his house. All in all, though, not a terrible result. This Iowa resident gets excited when an impressive hailstorm begins to lash down on Lake Carter.
Holy, we got some hail!
But he's about to find out, even locking yourself inside is no guarantee of safety.
Oh my God, where do I go?
This monsoon begins to unleash golf ball-sized ice bombs at up to 100 miles per hour, and the cracks are already beginning to show.
Oh, I'm shaking. Oh my God, have mercy on us.
It's only a matter of time before this monster hail makes an entrance.
We got broken windows. Shit's broken in the kitchen. Oh, another window broke. Kitchen is done. Oh, another window. This thing is not letting up.
The only thing he can do is call Dad.
Oh, Dad, you better call the insurance. Oh my God, it is coming in huge.
And dispense some solid advice.
Oh, you better hide. Go find an underpass. Yeah.
And when the weather dies down enough to venture outside, just remember that Mother Nature can still catch you out. In this episode, we've seen Mother Nature let rip. We've seen how helpless we can be. We've seen her tear down, destroy, and laugh in our faces. And next time, there will be more, because deadly weather stops for no one.